Hey, today is Thanksgiving Eve. Well, at least it is here in the United States. So, tonight is going to be a pretty quick show. Well, maybe not super quick, but no news tonight because of the holiday tomorrow. I've actually got some shopping I have to run out and take care of tonight before the stores close. Oops. So, without further ado, the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope, presented by thegaminggang.com. Welcome to episode 202. Incredible. I know, it's not incredible, but kind of, I'm shocked. It's more than 200 episodes. Today is Wednesday, November 21st, so welcome aboard. If this is your first time popping in, keep in mind this is a very, very casual show. This is a live stream. So some folks check it out live. Some folks, the vast majority, I should say, of people out there just watch the show after the fact. But today I am going to do a bit of a how to play and review Cryptid from Osprey Games. So I'm going to be taking care of that in just a few moments. Do want to point out, as I mentioned in the cold open, no news today, simply because if you follow the Daily Dope, then you already know that I started my cardiovascular rehab this week. So today was actually the first day of actually doing stuff. So that was interesting. That was interesting. A little more exercising than I've been doing. I never get any exercise. I'll be the first to admit. Only time I get much exercise is when I'm at conventions. So like when we go and tackle Comic-Con every year, we walk between about 18 and 20 miles a day. No joke. But the rest of the time, no, not really. So this will be different, and I am going to float out there so people know. I had to weigh in, and I weigh 218 pounds. Not real thrilled with that. But hopefully I'll drop a few pounds, shed a few pounds. You know, I got to admit, back in the day, this is a few years back, I was up to about 235 pounds, 240 pounds. So actually, I don't weigh as much as I once did, but even worse, at one point, when I was in my 30s, I weighed about 185 pounds, and I'm like 6'1", so I was in not necessarily muscular shape, but I was slim, that's for sure. Anyway, well, what happens when you get older, right? You put on some pounds. Anyway, since this is a live show, do want to point out that chat is available on YouTube. It is not on screen, so it's one of the ways that I keep some of these stranger commenters at bay. But I do keep an eye on the chat, so if you are watching live and you want to say hello, or you have a question, or maybe you want to learn something about Cryptid that I'm kind of glossing over, by all means, chime in and I will respond. All right, so without further ado, let's hop on into Cryptid. Because Cryptid is from Osprey Games, as I previously mentioned. It is designed by Hal Duncan and Ruth Vevers, I believe is the last name, with artwork provided by Quantia Moria. I'm sure I got that wrong. My apologies. The game is for 3 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays in around 30 to 45 minutes, and it does carry an MSRP of $35. So let's move on over to the other camera because I've got this set up already. So let's pop on over here, and in essence, Cryptid is a game where each of the players is supposed to be a cryptozoologist who is trying to track down a cryptid. right? So it could be the Loch Ness Monster, it could be a Yeti or Bigfoot, the Chupacabra. Yeah, that's it. Chupacabra, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's pronunciation, which is weird because when I'm playing Magic Online, I always run across the black decks that bust out that Chupacabra and kills one of my creatures or whatever. Anyway, you would think I'd know how to just let it roll off my tongue. So the premise is each of the players are cryptozoologists, and each of the players has one piece of the puzzle, and everyone else has a little piece of the puzzle too. So the premise is what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the cryptid without giving too much information away to your opponents, but also gathering information from them. So I like the box. I like the artwork. It looks like we've got. I'm assuming this is supposed to be the Loch Ness monster on here. So that is that's my stab in the dark on that. And then we've got the back of the box here. Now, unfortunately, and I'm sorry we're getting a little bit of glare. Let's see if I can tilt that. Yeah, tilt that a little bit. Unfortunately, this is pretty much the extent of the illustrations. So that is one of the unfortunate things about Cryptid is that there's not a whole ton of theme to it, which is okay, which is all right. When I first cracked this game open, when I cracked the box open and we did the unboxing and we kind of looked through the components and that, I was sort of like, I don't know. I'm sort of like, I mean, the components are nice, don't get me wrong, but I thought, I don't know, am I gonna like this game? I have no idea. Because, you know, sometimes when I crack a box open and I'm looking through and I'm like, oh, yeah, hey, you know, this looks pretty nice. Or on the flip side of that coin, every once in a while I'll be going through something, I'll be like, wow, that's really cheaply put together. That's really cheap component quality. Huh. So, anyway, so when I cracked this open, we took a peek at it during my unboxing video. I was kind of up in the air. I was like, huh, I wonder if this is a good game or not. Then, of course, I saw there was really nothing that indicates any of the cryptids, right? So it's like, huh, okay. But relax, it's a cool game. Anyway, so let's take a quick peek. The rules are pretty simple, pretty easy to jump into here. There's actually also an app for this game. So, and I have to point out, it is an app that's just, it's there to complement the game. It's there to make the game set up a little bit easier, which the setup is not tough, and make the clues for each of the players a little bit easier. But, I mean, it's not an app that you need to have to play the game. So if you do follow the Daily Dope, or if you visit thegaminggang.com, you know that I am not a fan of games that have a mobile app component to it that you need to have. That you need to be, especially when you need to be connected to Wi-Fi or your network to be able to utilize it to play the game. Because, you know, there are times when people go camping and stuff like that, and they bring games with. And a lot of times you're camping someplace, you're not picking up any Wi-Fi. Plus, you know, I don't like the fact that, you know, some companies are kind of tying in your enjoyment of the game to their app. And what if they decide they're not going to support that game anymore and they're not going to support that app? But I know I'm kind of carrying on a little bit, but just want to make sure that folks do know that you do not have to worry about that being the case with Cryptid. That the app that you can download for Cryptid is just really there to just to make setting up and playing the game a little bit easier. You do not need to have the app. All right, so what you're going to do is we've got these 6 different boards for the layout. So we've got these hexes on these boards, and what you're going to do is we've got 2 difficulty levels for the game. We've got cards that have the kind of beige backing on them, and then we also have, or I should say borders on them. We also have with black. So I do want to point out that for the more advanced game, there are more cards. So there are quite a few more cards, but there are a good number of cards for the normal game. They kind of call it the normal game and then the advanced game. So the normal game is a great way to introduce people to the game itself, and for younger players too, for younger gamers too, because this is there's a lot of deduction going on in this game. This game may not necessarily be for everyone, and I will discuss that when I kind of do my summary of the game. So what you're going to do is, if you're not using the app, you're going to draw a card. So I've got this just set up for the normal game. So you're going to draw a card, and then you're going to lay out the terrain, these 6 terrain boards, so that they match this card. So this is swamp. So this area here is swamp. This is forest. This is desert. These are mountains. And of course, this is water. So, I mean, it could be lakes or ocean, what have you. So it's just water. So what you do is you just take a peek, and it's going to say, okay, so in this corner here, this is going to be the terrain board number 2. Now, you might not be able to see it because it does kind of blend in a little bit, but there is a 2 in this upper corner. Now, when we were first looking at playing this game, you can see there's little dots in some of these hexes. And I was like, what does that represent? What? I don't get it. What is that supposed to be? Well, what it actually means is that is the upper left corner tile, right? Hex on that tile. So it's showing us, okay, so the number 2 tile is going to be straight up, where this is the number 1 tile, right? So we see there's a little black dot here. There's our number 1. So that's straight up as well. Then this is number 3, but number 3 is upside down. So we see the 3 right here because there's a little white dot on this. So it took us a sec to figure that out, because there's some other items that you pop out here, and I was kind of like, all right, so what are these dots supposed to be? And then it struck me, oh, now as I look at the setup of the board, now I get it. So as you can see, the way I've got the terrain set up reflects this card, right? So I've got a bunch of desert over here. I've got the different areas of water over here. So we've got all that set up. Then we have either standing stones. I'll lay it down so it's easier to see. So we have standing stones, or we have abandoned shacks. So we have these cylinders, or we have these triangles, which these are the abandoned shacks. So there are actually 4 colors of these. We've got black, which is not utilized in the normal game. The black tokens here are used in the advanced game. The advanced game just makes it it's a little trickier. It takes a little more time for you to kind of figure out the puzzle to the game. So, once again, by looking at my card here, I have set this up where I've got the standing stones where they're supposed to be, and I've got the abandoned shacks where they're supposed to be. So, everything's set up as far as the game board. Then, depending on the number of the players, what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. The app also helps you with this too. And it's going to show you, okay, depending on how many players you have, who's going to take what clue book and what clue are you going to look at? Because what happens is each of the players has a clue to the location of the cryptid. You need to kind of figure out what everyone's clue is, as well as your own, to find out, okay, so what hex is the cryptid actually located in? So there's a couple other things I should point out on the board too, that come into play because of the clues. And this is bear territory. So you see it's got these hexes have like a little broken black line. So that shows that that's bear territory here. And then we've got a red border along these. That means it's cougar territory. So just to make note of it. All right, so I've got this set up as if we were going to have 3 players playing the game. So we've got each of the players have discs as well as cubes. So in the various different colors. So we've got kind of a teal. And for some strange reason, I don't know why this camera is not... The color's off a little bit. And I was playing around with it earlier. And the funny thing is, it's not necessarily the board in that. It's these purple discs. These purple discs are looking way bluer than they actually are. So anyway, we've got kind of a teal. We've got a light blue. We've got red. We've got purple that's looking blue. And then we've got kind of an orangish yellow. It is kind of a deep yellow here. So I've got the 3 players set up. So what we would be doing is, okay, so we got the red player. So, actually, I should be using different colors, but that's okay. We'll say the red player is A. We're going to say the purple player is B. And then the yellow player is S. So these are the 3 clue books. Now, there are 5. There are 5 clue books that are available to you. I got to point out they're kind of flimsy. Just regular, you know, nothing to write home about. Same paper stock as the rule book is. Not terrible, but I would have liked to have seen them maybe to have been almost a little thicker, almost like a thin cardstock, maybe. I'm not dinging the game for it because, I mean, it's a $35 MSRP on this. And I have seen it as low as like $24 online. So I'm not gonna, you know, take Cryptid out to the woodshed simply because this is just regular paper. But each of the players is gonna get a little clue book, and then in the clue book, our card is gonna tell us what each player is looking at. And of course, you don't tell the other players the clue. That clue is for you to understand, just for you. So right here we got 3 players. Let's say the red player is player A. It says clue 30. We're going to open this up. We're going to take a look here, and we're going to see clue 30 within 1 space of forest. So we know the cryptid is going to be found within 1 space of a forest hex. So that would be the red player's clue. That's something you know. Now, the other 2 players, they're getting clues too. And you want to make sure that you're not going to be letting on that the location to the cryptid is going to be within 1 hex of a forest tile. So the other players are going to look up. They're going to have their clues as well. So, you know what? I'm going to throw my reading specs on here real quick. All right, so the first thing you're going to do, the first player is going to take 2 of their cubes, because these cubes mean no. These cubes are no. The discs are yes. This pawn here is just representing where the player is going. Each of the players get to take the pawn and place it on a location here. So the first thing, now I'm going to take a look here, and I am going to see what the other players have. Okay. And then let's see what we've got here. Okay. Now let's make sure I read that right. All right, so that is... Oh, okay, I see what I'm looking at. I'm like, what? Huh? What? Huh? Okay, so first thing you're going to do, first player is going to take 2 of their cubes. They're going to take 1 of their cubes, and they're going to mark down a spot that it cannot be at. So we're going to mark a spot that, no, the cryptid cannot be found in this location. So let's say there, right? Because we know our clue says that the cryptid is within one space of the forest, right? So okay, so that's not within one space of a forest, so it's okay that we do that. So we can put that cube right there. So now let's say it's the purple player's turn, and the purple player, let's say they were B, right? Let's say they were B. So they say, okay, let's say there. Okay, so second player says, okay, I'm putting a cube down there, so we know the cryptid would not be located there. Then we got the yellow player, orange player, what have you, and let's say there. So then each of the players is going to do that with 2 cubes. So we're going to go, okay, so then we got the next cube. Red player says there. Purple player says, okay, here. And the yellow player says there. So now you're ready to start. So this is where I found this game really, really interesting. I guarantee you there will be players who will not dig this game. You really have to like games where there's, kind of there's some deduction going on, where you have to kind of piece things together a little bit to really enjoy it. Now, most of the gang and myself really, really liked it. There was one player, one of Cameron's friends from school, who just didn't care for it, because it's, and I understand, some people, their minds don't work that way, right? And he happens to be a gamer who likes a lot of action, a lot of like things blowing up, that kind of stuff, or a lot of take that in the games, and of course something like Cryptid is absolutely not going to be happening there. All right, so the first thing, let's say the red player is the first player. So you've got a few different options what you can do. So you can go, and mainly a lot of times what you're going to do is you're going to pick a location, and you're going to ask one of the players, could that be where the cryptid is found, right? So let's say that the red player asks the yellow player, okay, could the cryptid be found in this spot? And we had the yellow player is over here, and they could say yes. And of course, the red player, we already know that the red player's clue is that it's within one space of a forest. So the red player says, yeah, okay, I know that could be that location as well. So you're like, well, so the only person left would be the purple player. So if the purple player puts their disc on here, then you're a winner. That means you found it because it matches up with everyone else's clues. But in this example, it doesn't. It doesn't match with the purple player's clue. So you would be sitting there like, okay, so, well, basically that would be on that turn. Once again, you could ask the purple player. The purple player says no. So if at any time the active player causes a cube to come out, so if if I'm the red player and I ask somebody, hey, could this possibly be the location of the cryptid, and they say no, and they put a cube out, I also have to put a cube out. So anytime I have somebody put out a no cube, I also have to do the same. So For an example, it would be like, okay, so purple player says, no, that's not the location. So then I would be like, okay, so I would drop a cube, you know, wherever, as long as it's within my clues. Now, the thing is, just because I know that it can't be here because of it's what my clue says, doesn't necessarily mean that the other players are going to catch on to that. Because remember, all of these clues tie together. There's only one spot that the cryptid can be in. Only one. So when it's as you're playing the game and people are like, oh, well, yes. So for an example, let's say somebody says on another player's turn, they say, could that be the location of, let's say it's the yellow player's turn. Say, okay, could that be the location of the cryptid? Well, according to their clue, I believe. Let me double check. Yep, okay. So according to their clue, that could be it. So they could, let's say the yellow player plays and they ask me, they say, okay, could that be the location of the cryptid? And I say, yes, it could be. It is very possible that the cryptid is located there because my clue says the cryptid's within one space of the forest. I'll let you in on a hint. The yellow player's clue says that the cryptid is located within 3 spaces of a white structure. So right there, right? So that's within 3 spaces. So of course, the yellow player's like, yeah, that's a possibility. That could be it. That could honestly work. But of course, it doesn't fit in with the purple player's clue. So the purple player's clue is actually, where was that here? They are 45. Oh, wait. I've been looking at the wrong thing. It might actually be that spot. So we've got the 3 here, right? So the 30 is within 1 space of the forest. Okay, so the purple players is... No, okay, that's right. Right? Yeah, okay. It threw me off. And this is one of the things that kind of threw us off a little bit is with the colors. Because this is green, but that's the purple player. Okay, so I was looking at the right one. So it says within three spaces of a green structure is the purple player's clue. That's not within 3 spaces of a green structure. So now we start figuring out. Now, keep in mind, as you're playing this game, you don't know what the other player's clues are, but you start trying to figure out what it could be. Now, in the normal game, right? In the normal game, shows you the possible clues. So this is kind of your little cheat sheet here. So it says one of 2 types of terrain: on forest or desert, on forest or water, on forest or swamp. So these are possible clues, right? Possible clue could be within 1 space of our terrain type or animal territory. That's why we got the animal territories here. We have within 2 spaces of type of animal territory or type of structure. Type of structure, not color of structure. Then we have within 3 spaces of a color of structure. So it'll tell you like within 3 spaces of blue, white, green, or black. So we just happen to have the clues that tell us that we know it's within 1 space of forest. That's what my red player knows. Now the red player's sitting there going, okay, well, So looking at these different kinds of clues, we figure 2 yeses here and then a no. So we got 2 yeses here and then the no. So first of all, we know that as the red player, we do know that it's within 1 spot of the forest. Now, one of the other clues could be it's within so many spaces of a blue structure. It's within so many spaces of a white structure. Or it could be within so many spaces of desert or mountains. So the thing is, what we're trying to figure out is, okay, so what is the no? So, okay, so it could be, well, we know it's not water. We know it's not mountains. So eventually, as you continue around the table and you're asking, you're placing your little guy down here. So, like, for an example, me as the red player, I wouldn't put my guy there because we know that it's within one space of a forest, and that would not be within one space of a forest. So, as the red player, as we played, right? So we could be like, yeah. We could be like, yeah. What do we got here? Yes. Then we can start sprinkling. You're sprinkling out different no's around the board, and you never pick up the pieces that are on the board. These pieces will stay on the board. I'm just kind of throwing these around just to kind of spread the game out. So, so you're basically looking at as the game has progressed, right? Because you're not going to come up with, oh wow, could it possibly be here? So, like within a couple of turns, that would not make a whole lot of sense. So, what I would look at here is, let's say it's gotten my turn. I'm the red player. I say, okay, so is the cryptid located here? So let's say I ask the purple player, and the purple player says, yes, it could be located in this spot. Yeah. Now we already know. I know it could be within that spot because it's next to the forest. It's within one space. And then the yellow player would say yes, because the clues are within 3 spaces of a white structure. That's the abandoned shack. And within 3 spaces of a green structure, this abandoned shack. And then I know as my clue that it's next to a forest. So this is the location that the cryptid would be found. So, now of course, like I said, it's going to take a while for you to get there and to figure all this stuff out. But I got a kick out of, sitting there trying to figure out, okay, so, all right, so, well, we know it's not in the desert because I got a no on that. Okay, so I know it's not in the water. I got a no on that. And then, trying to, then you're looking at the different possible clues that you've got. Now, in the advanced game, with these cards, you're going to actually add an additional set of structures wherever it says on here, right? But also you'll have clues that are the inverse of these other clues. So, for an example, we've got within one space of a terrain type or animal territory. Well, now we could have clues that say it is not within one space of a particular terrain type or possibly an animal territory. So, throws another little bit of a wrinkle into the gameplay as far as the advanced game, because now you've not only got where it's like, well, it's within so many spaces of whatever. Now you also have clues that are telling you it's not within so many spaces of whatever. So, I really got a kick out of this. I really, really did playing it. Time to play is pretty spot on. About a half hour. Once people kind of get the hang of it, it's super easy to learn. I mean, there really isn't that much you're going to be doing on a turn except for searching, or you're basically asking another player questions. I mean, that's tells you right here what you can do. Shows you player responses, right? So you don't even have to say anything. You just say, okay, so if it's not the habitat according to your clue, you put down a cube, and if it could be the habitat, you drop down a disc. Pretty easy peasy. Now, if you go into the rule book here, it's going to show you, okay, so we got the playing pieces, the animal territories, the structures. It's going to show you the setup, playing the game, core principles. This is very, very important. And this is where, like I had said before, it's going to... certain players, certain kind of gamers are going to like this. Certain gamers kind of aren't going to like this. Number one, you have to be honest when you're placing your pieces. Pieces, as I mentioned, are never removed from the board. You may never interact with the space that contains any cube. That means you cannot question, search, or place any of your pieces on that space. If you make someone place a cube on your turn, you must also place one of your cubes somewhere on the board. And once again, you got to be honest. If one of your pieces is already on a space, you cannot add another piece to that space. So you can't add another one of your pieces to a space. So you can question, you can search. So when you're searching, what you're basically doing is, so when you're asking a question, let's take these out of the way again. So when I ask a question, let's say I went to there, right? And I ask, so I decide, okay, so I'm going to search. So if I search, I mark that because I know that that is a location that could be possibly the location of the cryptid based on my red player clue. Now, when it comes around, you know, everybody's moving around again, comes back to me again, I could go back there and say, okay, now I want to question the other player. So let's say, oh, well, I'm questioning the purple player. Could this be the habitat? And the purple player goes, womp. Nope. Womp, womp. You're out of luck. So it's like, okay. So those are really the two moves that you have during the game. Is you're either asking questions about where the cryptid could be located and either getting a disc or a cube, or you're going to locations that you already know based on your clue could be it, and dropping down a disc. And one of the reasons why they have it broken up into like kind of two parts is so you can't just suddenly out of nowhere land on a spot. You go, okay, that's mine. I know it's right. It's within my clue. And then I ask somebody else, boom. And then now it's like, okay, I've done that, and all I need is the purple player. Well, obviously enough, somebody else can sneak over here and snag that location. So it's broken up into... This is one of the things that one of the other players was kind of like, they were having a hard time kind of wrapping their head around, was it's like, hey, that's not fair. Because, you know, I figured out where it's at, and then someone else can come in and kind of swoop in and get the glory. That's like, yeah, well, the thing is, just don't search. You know, don't search on your turn. Now it's possible you could have a location that, you know, came up with, well, let's say that, right? That comes within the clues, right? Within the clues of that these two players have, but it doesn't match with my red player. So, you know, it could be you have a player go, okay, well, you know, I'm the purple guy, I'm coming over here. Hey, Jeff, could that possibly be the habitat of the cryptid? And I go, whamp. No. So it's not just a complete giveaway. You try to search last is how I kind of looked at it. Because once you've got somebody who you know, you've got two discs on a spot, it's looking good. It's looking good. So anyway, but some people just couldn't put, like, you know, 1 and 2 together to get 3 playing this game. So you got to have the right kind of player. You got to have somebody who likes kind of like deduction games, kind of puzzly games, which I am not a big puzzle game fan. But I did like this. I did like the deduction aspect of this game. When we first started playing it, yeah, our games ran. We played 4 players, and we were running a little more than a half hour as we were trying to figure out, kind of getting used to the game and understanding the different kinds of clues and stuff like that. But yeah, you should, even with 5 players, once you know how to play the game, you should be able to knock this out in about 30 minutes, probably 30 minutes for each one. This is the kind of game that once it clicks with you, once it clicks with the players and that, you might play a game and then sit there and be like, hey, you guys want to play one more of this? Let's shuffle this up, shuffle the decks up, I should say, and go from there. Now, I have to be honest, I don't know as far as the app. I can't tell you if the app just kind of like creates stuff on the fly, or if it's just, which I highly doubt. I think the app just basically contains these cards just to make it a little easier for you. But there's a lot of replayability in this with all these various different cards in the 2 different decks. You figure you've got all these clues. You got 96 clues in each of these books. So, of course, you know, they duplicate the clues in the books, but still. So, all in all, that is pretty much how you play Cryptid. So, basically, what are my thoughts about Cryptid? As I mentioned before, it's easy to get into. The rules are, you know, straightforward. You know, no muss, no fuss. There's not a lot of fluff. It's just basically laid out. Hey, this is what you do. So I like that. No fooling around. Got right down to the nitty gritty there. Gave some examples as well. So I like that. One aspect that I was a little disappointed in was that, you know, you're supposed to be cryptozoologists trying to track down various different cryptids, but it could be anything. I mean, it could be, reality-wise, you could be searching for like lost explorers or lost campers or something like that, or, you know, lost treasure. It's all kind of, you know, kind of, I don't want to say that it's just kind of tacked on as far as the theme, because it's not that bad. But when we were playing it, we really didn't feel like, oh, we're trying to find, you know, Bigfoot. It was just kind of like, oh, what hex is it? You know, what hex is the answer to this mystery? Which I thought was fun. I thought that was cool. And so did the vast majority of the game. I have to be honest, I probably liked it more than any of the others. But it's my fault probably, because Cameron and his friends, Daniel and Alex and Kyle and other Cameron and Hunter and things like that. I usually bust out like the action kind of games, or like the horror games, you know, zombie games, stuff like that with them. Not necessarily a lot of, like, you know, deduction games, which, to be honest, there aren't a ton of deduction games that are out there, and probably fewer that are actually really good. Like the components, like I said, these are a little, but for a $35 game, I'm not really complaining. The discs and the cubes are fine. I'll tell you what, the tiles are nice. I actually like how they even say Cryptid on the back of them. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, these are really nicely done. So that is cool. I like that. So, and I like the gameplay. Like I said, I like how it's no muss, no fuss. Bang, you're right in there and you're learning how to play the game. And I do also like the fact that it's got the 2 levels of play. So it's got the advanced game that's a little trickier. I mean, it just plays the same. It just, it's a little more difficult to figure out where that cryptid is as opposed to the normal game. But the normal game is perfect for, you know, like 10-year-old kids to play with too. So I like the fact that it's got the 2 levels of complexity, I guess we'll say. So I thought that was very nice as well. So all in all, I actually give Cryptid a very, very solid, wait for it, ready? A 9.2 out of 10. That's how good I think this is. I think this is a really, really good game. Yes, it doesn't have, it doesn't feel like you're chasing after the Loch Ness Monster and stuff like that. Yes, okay, fine. But it kept me sitting there going, There were a couple of games where I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. I know where it's at. And I'd be like, it's not there. So anyway, I certainly do recommend that you pick up Cryptid. Hey, you know what? Like I said, I have seen this for about $25 online. So I would definitely say, if you are looking around, I am actually going to have a show before Christmas talking about some great gift ideas. I'm telling you right now, Cryptid's one of them. Cryptid is certainly one of them. And it ramps up 3 to 5, fine. I mean, 3 players really didn't go any faster or slower than 5 players. So I thought the number of players really doesn't change the dynamic that much. In fact, personally, I thought the game seemed to kind of move a little faster with 5 as opposed to 3, which sounds kind of weird, but I don't know. Maybe it's because we had so many different minds going at the same time when we had the 4 players than when we had 3. So I don't know. I have no idea. All right. Anyway, that is it for today's show. I am not going to have a show on Friday. So I was bouncing around. Do I have a show on Friday? I'm going to take the holiday off. And the way I have kind of done the Daily Dope since it launched, well, actually, it really did launch the end of last year. I rolled out some soft rollout shows, but I have pretty much stuck to, well, if it's kind of like a holiday that like kids are out of school and stuff like that, most people have off of work, I don't do a show. So that is what I'm going to do. I am actually going to be back on Monday. So, just so you know what's cooking on next week's shows, on Monday, I am finally going to unbox and take a look at Codenames Marvel from USAopoly. So, I had to actually push this off. I was supposed to do this yesterday, and I received the awesome Dungeons & Dragons Art and Arcana book, which I reviewed last night because I had a review PDF. I was waiting for the physical book to come in, and I just so love this. Hey, you want to know what? This is another great gift idea for anybody out there who is a fan, or if you have family or friends who are fans of Dungeons and Dragons. They'll love you if you get them this as a holiday gift. So put that back there. So anyway, so finally I will be unboxing Codenames Marvel. Tuesday's show, I'm not sure what I might be doing. I got some things that are on the way to me. I believe I got Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition going to be on its way to me, and it's not going to arrive next week, but that's going to be pretty cool. So I will actually be sharing the physical book with everybody out there. So Tuesday's show, I'm not sure yet. Wednesday's show, we are going to unbox and take a look at the new edition of A Distant Plane from my good friends over at GMT Games. This is a 2nd edition. It is one of the coin series. Very, very, very excellent series of games. Then on Thursday, because I like to do RPGs on Thursdays, it's war games on Wednesdays usually, and RPGs on Thursdays. I'm going to review Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Mage on Thursday's show, and I will give you a hint. I think this is going to be an adventure that divides D&D fans, 5th edition fans, because it is a mega dungeon. It really is. It's a mega dungeon. It is a real throwback so far. I'm not finished reading it, but it is a real throwback to old school. And I keep telling people, and they don't believe me when I say 5th edition D&D is OSR. I hate to break it to you. It's OSR. It is not necessarily like too many people think, oh no, it doesn't click with the whole philosophy of old school Renaissance or revival or whatever you want to call it, whatever you want to say the R represents. I disagree. I think it is much more in the vein of rulings, not rules. But anyway, I will review that on Thursday. So that is what's cooking pretty much on next week's episodes. So as I like to always say, when you're not watching the Daily Dope or checking out various videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill by now. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I will actually be posting news items throughout the weekend and that. So there are some like Black Friday things that are popping up. I will keep people appraised of those. I had even thought maybe if I didn't have anything going on Sunday, I would maybe do a quick show just to kind of share some of the Cyber Monday stuff that's going on. I don't know. I'll probably just put those out as news pieces. Anyway, once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and if you are here in the U.S., I hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday with friends and family. Have a great time. Be very, very careful out there. Very safe. A lot of people on the roads, a lot of people flying, a lot of people on trains. Going to have some bad weather. So be careful, all right? We want to see you on Cyber Monday. And, don't get crazy with the Black Friday shoppers out there. No, it's just stuff, right? No need to get crazy and get in fights or get hurt or anything like that, right? Okay? I want to see all you guys on Monday, okay? So if you aren't in the U.S., have a great Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday. Have a good time. Enjoy yourselves. And I will look forward to seeing you also next week. All right, so as always, like I mentioned, I'm Jeff McAleer, and thank you very much for watching. Thanks again for watching The Daily Dope, presented by The Gaming Gang. If you like this episode, be sure to give it a quick thumbs up. And if you dig the channel, please subscribe. If you'd like to check out our previous episode, click right here. And if you want to check out a somewhat randomly selected episode, give a click right down here. It'll be like opening a box of Cracker Jacks. You just don't know what you'll get. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'm Jeff McAleer.